Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Humza Yousaf has decided to wade in on the XL bully row. He's saying that a ban is not needed, and yet, strangely, his own colleagues are saying, well, we haven't got a ban, but we don't like the idea of all these XL bullies flooding into Scotland. They are, without doubt, a dangerous dog. And no, I'm not blaming the dogs. It's just that they are so powerfully built that when they do attack, there's virtually nothing that can stop them. And there have been deaths. Grown men have died. And so what hope does a child have? But yes, they are tending to be owned by sort of inadequate men. But, you know, it's like any dog. It's all to do with training. But the difference is any dog is capable of an attack at a random point. You should never leave any dog with a child. But a dog like this that could even kill a grown man is definitely a dog that needs to be considered dangerous. And so if there is this ban in England and the Scottish law says no, we're not putting a ban in, then it could be easily seen that this exactly would happen, that there would be a flood of these dogs north of the border going into kennels and cares, and rehoming there. But who, we have to ask, is rehoming them? Is it more inadequate men who just want an aggressive dog to make them look hard? Let's have a look, see why Humza is endangering people with his lack of foresight. Here goes. So Humza Yousaf says a ban on deadly XL bully dogs is not required, despite the loophole being used by UK owners. And you have to ask when it will be required. How many deaths will there have to be in Scotland from these dogs? How many children have to be ripped apart? How many people, grown adults, will have to die before they decide actually the ban is a good idea and we should have done it years ago? And then they look at all the graves of all the people, all the kids killed by them, all the puppies, all the smaller dogs that are ripped apart by these dogs. The First Minister was speaking after Community Safety Minister Siobhan Brown said dog owners in England were taking their pets to Scotland to escape the ban because, why wouldn't they? I understand. These owners of these dogs will actually, they'll like their dogs, they love their dogs, they don't want to put their dogs down. And if there's a way of the dog to continue to live, they'll take that route. And that's how it is. It's not the, this is a problem for Scotland. It's not a problem for English dog owners. Even though I don't agree that these dogs should even exist. I'm not asking them for them to be killed. I'm making that very clear. I don't want the dogs put down, but I think they need to not be bred anymore. New to them, so that there's no possibility of them breeding, and then just let the breed go. And not only them, all the bulldogs, all the little French bulldogs, all the English bulldogs. Yes, I know it's sort of, there's a nationalist pride of the English bulldog and all that, but it's bollocks. These dogs suffer. Having these shortened snouts, it really does hurt the dogs. It harms the dogs. You ask anyone who's a vet or whatever, the problems that they have with short-snouted dogs. It's unfair. I'll get off my my high horse on that one. And I know my sister-in-law, she has a little what do you call it, French bulldog. He's a lovely little thing, but his breathing is all the time, and it's just horrible to hear. And you just know it's just as a result of years of inbreeding these things to get that snout shorter. Horrible. Anyway, Humza Yousaf has claimed that there's no need for a ban on potentially deadly XL bully dogs in Scotland, despite complaints from his own ministers that Scotland is being flooded with the animals. New rules of ownership on the breed being implemented in England and Wales on December the 31st. Yeah, as of that day, it was illegal to have one in England, not allowed to own them, breed them, etc. The dogs have been linked to deaths across the UK, which recorded a record year for fatal dog attacks in 2023. And despite that, the Scottish Government refused to follow the lead of Westminster. Not because they particularly care for these dogs, of course, but it's just another little layer in which they can have a division and use it to pry Scotland away from the UK. But at what cost? How many people will die just so Humza Yousaf can make a point? Because people will die. Other animals will be destroyed by these dogs. It happens. There's no getting away from it. This ban has led to dozens of XL bullies being transported north, a practice that irked Community Safety Minister Siobhan Brown. Well, maybe she should ban them north of the border and that would stop it happening, wouldn't it? She claimed the Scottish Government did not want dog owners to use a loophole to bring their dogs to Scotland, although a UK Government source dismissed that, saying it was simply a consequence of the Scottish Government's decision not to ban the breed. You don't ban the breed, this is going to happen. You know, it's not England's fault, it's not Westminster's fault, it's Edinburgh's fault. Speaking on Friday, the First Minister told Bauer Media the government was monitoring the situation. He added, "We do have a very controlled and quite tight regime when it comes to the management of animals, control of dogs, and that is something quite unique in Scotland compared to other parts of the UK." Of course it is, but then he, coming from his culture, don't like dogs. It's a thing, they just particularly don't like dogs. They see them as dirty and whatever. Whereas culturally, of course, the British do like their dogs. You know, and they do have all these different little breeds of dogs, almost specific to areas. You have, like, you know, Scotties, Yorkshire Terriers, your Norwich Terriers, and so forth. You know, we have all the Irish Setters and all that. So you have all these little bands of dogs from the various regions. And it's a very cultural thing in Britain to have dogs. He doesn't come from that culture. And so he'd be quite happy to ban all dogs, or at least have them fully muzzled and this, that and the other. And just think of some little tiny little Shih Tzu, the softest little thing you'll ever meet. And he wants to treat that the same way as you treat a Doberman Pinscher or an XL Bully. Load of crap, isn't it? Anyway, he said new rules, he didn't say new rules, in England and Wales mean owners of XL Bullies must keep them on a lead and muzzled in public ahead of an outright ban on February the 1st. Breeding, selling or abandoning the dogs has also become illegal, with owners being urged to apply for a certificate of exemption for current pets before the 31st of January deadline. Now, abandoning dogs isn't just a rule about this breed. Abandoning dogs is actually illegal, regardless. And they're quite right too. Dogs, long history with humans. I love dogs. I wouldn't harm a dog if a dog is a problem, fine. But, I wouldn't harm an animal. And I'm not asking for them to be put down. But I do think that they do need to be, as a breed, banned, and so no more breeding, and have them all neutered. And that way the breed will die out. Anyway, the move is opposed by the RSPCA, but the Environment Secretary Steve Barclay said the government has taken quick and decisive action following a series of attacks, with one man dying after being savaged by one of the dogs earlier this year. And he wasn't the first wasn't the first adult to die. And there have been child deaths as well. It was the year before last, 22, and there was the grandmother trying to be hard, had one of these dogs looking after grandchild, and the dog just went wild in the room and just ripped the child to shreds. The grandmother tried to go in, grandmother gets attacked and everything. That was the end of the child. But, hey, look how cool we are with one of these really aggressive dogs, and then you're carrying that heaviest of object, a small coffin, all because you wanted a hard dog. What an inadequate people that have these things. And there he is, a man who wants to create that difference. Look at us, we're not going to do it. We're different, we're Scotland. Let's create another difference with England. And if people die, so be it. For him, it's a price worth paying. And, of course, it gives him the opportunity to ban dogs in Scotland because his culture doesn't like them. I'm coming up. So when the people start dying, when children are killed, when other animals are ruined and destroyed by these dogs, who do we blame? Do we blame Westminster for banning them in England? Or do we blame Holyrood for not banning them in Scotland? It's a question that will get asked, and then there will be a ban. Once you get a couple, especially kids, once you get a couple of kids that have been mauled to death by these things, then there'll be the ban. It'll be far too late, of course. There'll be these parents looking at Humza Yousaf as he little smiling oath going, oh look, we've created a difference between England, and yes, a couple of children have died, but at least we've got that difference from England. And that's all he thinks about. Doesn't consider the safety of people. But they never think of people, do they? They're the SNP. Anyway, I shall finish there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and never leave a room with a dog and a child. Bye.